On the morning of April 3rd, 1977, a fiddle player named Thomas Ayers drove to the home of an 81-year-old man named Joseph Croft in a rural county outside Asheville, North Carolina, and recorded him playing for 4 hours. Thomas was 26 years old. He had been collecting field recordings of traditional Appalachian music for 3 years, not professionally. He was a graduate student in folklore at the University of North Carolina. He collected because he believed that what he was collecting was disappearing. Joseph Croft was one of the last active practitioners of a specific fiddle tradition that had existed in the mountain communities of western North Carolina for at least 4 generations. A tradition that had developed in isolation from the commercial country music industry, that had preserved tunings and techniques and a specific rhythmic approach that could not be found in any recorded catalog. Thomas had found Joseph through a network of referrals that had taken 2 years to navigate. Old people in small towns pointing toward older people in smaller towns. Until the trail ended at Joseph Croft's house on a gravel road outside a town so small it was not on most maps. Joseph led him in. He made coffee. He asked why Thomas wanted to record him. Thomas said, "Because what you play should not disappear when you stop." Joseph was quiet for a moment. "Who says I'm stopping?" he said. Thomas apologized. He had not meant it that way. Joseph waved it off. He picked up his fiddle. He played for 4 hours. Thomas recorded everything. He asked no questions. He made no interruptions. He changed the tape when needed, and otherwise sat still. Across 4 hours, Joseph Croft played 38 pieces. Some of them Thomas recognized, traditional tunes with names he knew from other recordings. Some of them he did not recognize. Some of them Joseph named. Some of them Joseph said had no names, that he had learned them from his grandfather, and his grandfather had not named them. Near the end of the 4 hours, Joseph played something that Thomas described in his field notes that evening as unlike anything in the previous 4 hours. Not technically different, not in a different style, different in quality. Thomas asked what it was called. Joseph said he didn't know. Thomas asked where he had learned it. Joseph was quiet for a moment. "I didn't," Joseph said. Thomas waited. Joseph said, "It came this morning." He said it had arrived while he was getting dressed. He had been playing it in his head all morning. He had not played it on the fiddle until now. Thomas asked if it was finished. Joseph played it again. It lasted approximately 2.5 minutes. When it ended, he was quiet. "I think so," Joseph said. Thomas drove home. He transcribed his field notes. He listened to the tape. He described the final piece in his notes as the most significant recording he had made in 3 years of field work. Not because of the tradition it represented, because of what it was. He wrote, "An 81-year-old man receiving a new piece of music on the morning of what may be one of his final days of playing. Not retrieving, not reproducing, receiving." He returned to Joseph's house 6 months later. Joseph answered the door. He was, if anything, sharper. He had not been in the final days of his playing. He played with Thomas for another 2 hours. Thomas asked about the piece from April. Joseph remembered it. He played it again. It was different. Not unrecognizably different. The same structure, the same melodic material. Different in the way living things are different each time. Thomas asked Joseph why it had changed. Joseph looked at him. Because 6 months happened, Joseph said. Thomas thought about this for a long time. He thought about it in the paper he wrote for his dissertation. He thought about it in the book that grew from the dissertation, published in 1983. He thought about it when he played the original recording for students in the decades that followed. An 81-year-old man. A piece that arrived on a Tuesday morning. A recording that captured one version of it, and then the second version, 6 months later, different. Because 6 months happened. Joseph Croft died in 1982. He was 86 years old. He played fiddle until his final year. Thomas Ayers became a professor of folklore at UNC Chapel Hill. He taught for 30 years. He published 4 books. He still has the tape from April 3, 1977. He plays it for students in his classes. Not always the whole tape, just the final piece, the 2.5 minutes. He always says the same thing before he plays it. Listen for the thing that isn't tradition, he says. Listen for the thing that arrived that morning. While an 81-year-old man was getting dressed, and decided, for some reason, to be a new piece of music, and found its way to the fiddle, because he was willing to receive it. Even at 81. Maybe especially at 81. Thomas Ayers retired in 2018. He still plays the tape. He says he has played it hundreds of times. He says it is always different. Not the tape, the hearing of it. Because time keeps happening, and the music keeps changing with it. The way living things do. Every time.